Philippines Network. Jensen.
Tuna Exporters Multi-Purpose Cooperative. Tuna Exporters Multi-Purpose Cooperative.
Niining panahona, lisod alang kanato ang mga nabuhi nga walay kasiguruhan. Hilabi na, niining panahon sa krisis sa COVID-19. Busa ang ngayon gayon nga magkasiguro kita sa atong paglahutay sa matag adlaw, inubanan sa mga pag-ampo ug sa tamang sa labaw makagagahon. Ang Tuna Exporters Multi-Purpose Cooperative 19 katuig na nga matinud-anong nag-amping sa tanang miyembro niini ana-ana sa mukaba 2,400 ka mga dedikado ug kuihan nga member owners ang kasamtangang malipayon na ginabuhi sa nagkanalaing kliyenteng kumpanya sa Temco. Pagpamatuod nga misubay gayud kini sa iyang misyon nga mohatag og gikalidad, epektibo ug kasaligan nga pagpanerbisyo sa tanang kliyente ingon man ang sustinableng panginabuhian alang sa tanan. Uban sa pag-uswag sa matag kinabuhi sa mga member owners, napatuman sa Temco ang iyang tumong nga makahatag og maayo, kasaligan ug matilid-anon nga pagpanerbisyo alang sa tanan niining giampingang kliyente. Busa igsuon aron kita makasiguro paninguhaa gayon nga makapamiyembro sa Tuna Exporters Multi-Purpose Cooperative. Temco, serbisyo at benepisyo para sa mga miyembro. Yan ang Temco. Gikan sa Tuna Capital of the Philippines, General Santos. Nagsilya sa gikusgan ng 5,000 watts. Kini ang silyanan sa RPN. RPN. Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. DX 693 kHz. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda sa syudad sa mga kampeon. Live to the world pinaagi sa FB page karon mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play ug Apple Store, YouTube ug Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakusgan nga mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran ug kalingawan. DX Size 93 ang mas ipakusgan nga inyong Radyo Ronda.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Jensen.
Aron makalikay sa disgrasyas kadalanan, sundon ang balaod trapiko. Pahimangnok gikan sa RPN Double DX Jensen.
Who recently returned from Omicron-stricken South Africa. The Marcos Duterte tandem holds a grand caravan in Metro Manila that caused heavy traffic, while one presidential aspirant again says he's open to unity talks with the opposition bet. And move aside, BTS Filipino group SB19 officially takes over the top spot of Billboard's Hot Trending Songs chart. Out of 8 Filipinos who recently flew into the country from South Africa, Filipino worker is under home quarantine, had a negative RT-PCR result and does not exhibit COVID-19 symptoms. While the whereabouts of the 7 others remain unknown, the government now warns of possible consequences for travelers who will provide false personal information. More from Trisha Terada.
The IATF is appealing for everyone's cooperation in locating the 7 missing travelers from South Africa. IATF co-chairperson Carlo Nograles warned of sanctions for violators of health protocols.
Ayoko rin silang takutin, no? Whoever you are, please come, no? Immediately and report yourselves, submit yourselves, no, for testing immediately and report yourselves immediately to authorities, no? We're not scaring you. We want your cooperation. Last resort na yung sinasabi na magsampa pa ng kaso.
The health department said 2 of the missing travelers gave either incorrect or incomplete numbers. 3 provided the numbers of the agencies, while the remaining 2 are unreachable. The agency also said it is coordinating with local officials to reach the missing people. Meanwhile, the Bureau of Quarantine assures the public it is ready to enforce the strictest protocols to prevent the entry of the Omicron variant. The government is on alert as more countries report cases of the new variant, but the IATF says some criteria will still have to be met before putting a country under the red list.
Binabantayan rin namin yung capability also of the country to do biosurveillance, genomic sequencing, kasi baka maaring tumataas ang bilang ng isang country in terms of the COVID cases, but even if they don't report Omicron, it may just be the delay in the biosurveillance being done in that country na hindi naman nila agad-agad na detect yung Omicron.
Ito naman pong measures na to hindi na po bago sa Bureau of Quarantine at sa lahat po ng agency na nag-aalaga sa mga papalik nating mga kababayan. Dahil ito rin po yung measures na ginawa natin nung panahon po ng Delta. So, masisigurado po namin na may implement natin yung pinakamahigpit po na protocol based po doon sa mga binababa na guidelines ng IATF.
Nograles also said the IATF is stepping up its four-door strategy, which include testing and strict protocols against travelers, including overseas Filipino workers. Trisha Terada, CNN Philippines.
The country logs 370 new COVID-19 cases. It is the second day new infections nationwide are only under 400. With cases dropping, more hospitals are declaring they are now COVID-19 free. These include the Pasig City General Hospital. In a message to CNN Philippines, Hospital Administrator Arlene Samonte said there are currently no COVID-19 patients in their wards or emergency room. The Makati Medical Center earlier posted a zero COVID-19 census as of Monday. In a statement, Makati City Mayor Abby Binay said the Hospital de Makati has not admitted a COVID-19 patient since November 24. Other hospitals also admitting fewer patients for COVID-19. The Santa Ana Hospital in Manila has 8 COVID-19 patients, down from its highest daily census of 120 patients. In the meantime, there are no more active COVID-19 cases in jails across the country. This covers both, according to the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, these covers both persons deprived of liberty or PDL and jail personnel. The BJMP says it will slowly allow no contact visitations for PDLs this Christmas season, beginning in low-risk areas with specific requirements and limitations as to who can visit. South African researchers say the Omicron variant partly escapes protection offered by the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. They conducted the first experiment looking at how the variant might behave in the vaccinated, studying samples from 12 people fully inoculated with Pfizer. In some, the levels of neutralizing antibodies decreased 41-fold, but the team says this is still good news as it expected worse. Results also showed people previously infected and then immunized are likely to be well protected. Boosters are also likely to add more protection. President Duterte issues an executive order enforcing stricter regulation of prices of select medicine. EO 155 imposes a maximum retail price or MRP and or maximum wholesale price or MPW or MWP on 34 drug molecules and 71 formulas. These cover analgesics, antibiotics, anti-asthma, anti-diabetic, and anti-cancer medicine, among others. The directive also requires the MRP printed on the drug's container on a red strip, preceded by the words retail price not to exceed and under drug price regulation. The palace says the order seeks to reduce healthcare expense and improve access to affordable medicine. Former overseas Filipino workers hope Saudi Arabia will finally release their unpaid wages after earlier committing to settle them. The Labor Department, however, is struggling to negotiate with the Middle Eastern country. Tristan Nadalo also tells us how the government prepares for the influx of returning OFWs this holiday season.
A promise still hanging in the balance for thousands of overseas Filipino workers from Saudi Arabia. The Labor Department previously announced that the Saudi government will be paying some 4.6 billion worth of unpaid salaries to thousands of OFWs. But a labor official now admits that the negotiations on the issue are challenging. Speaking in front of former OFWs from Saudi Arabia, OWA Chief Hans Kakdak says talks are still ongoing to convince the Middle East country to give the unpaid salaries of at least 9,000 Filipino workers. But the timeline remains unclear. The worker says it's an agonizing wait, especially for their families.
Hindi ako pumunta ng Saudi para mamulot ng basura. 5 taon na ako rito sa Pilipinas. Kahit leasing ka, wala akong nakuha. Yung mga ayuda sinasabi, nasa na? Masakit sa akin, lalo na sa pamilya nila, makarating sa akin na sila namumulit ng basurang pagkain.
Yun pa rin ang ating inaasam, no? Pero walang kasiguruhan. Kasi sa pakikipag-usap with the Saudi side, ay meron pa ring proseso from the Saudi side na kailangang obserbahan doon. Yung challenge is paano talaga natin maipahatid sa Saudi side yung hikahos, yung paghihirap ng mga Filipino workers na naglingkod na eh. Kumbaga sa gobyerno, ang term dyan ay service rendered na yan eh.
In the same dialogue, OWA officials say that they are exerting all efforts to bring home stranded OFWs from Saudi. The government will mount 6 repatriation flights this month to bring over 2,000 workers home. The repatriation flights from Saudi Arabia will begin next week, while the government expects over 100,000 OFWs or returning Filipinos this holiday season. Tristan Nodalo, CNN Philippines.
Up ahead on Newsnight, a motorcade for presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos and his running mate Sara Duterte causes heavy traffic in the country's most voter-rich city. And one Pinoy group dethrones K-pop sensation BTS on the Billboard's Hot Trending Songs chart. Details next.
Pangarap ng bawat Pilipino, hangarin ng Northern Cement. Ahon! Bangon! Sulong! Pinalaki ng Northern Cement ang kapasidad ng kanilang planta para steady ang supply ng sementong tigasin. Northern Cement Max Plus, Supreme at Max Pro. Ahon! Bangon! Sulong!
Totoo bang TJ also makes the cheesiest? Exhibit X, my cheese. Exhibit TJ, cheesiest. Totoo nga! Walang duda, kids can tell na ang cheesiest ng #1, tender juicy cheese dog. Pa TJ cheese dog ka naman! For my babies, only vet-approved Nutri-Chunks puppies. The only one with active boost and prebiotics na Pampalisto. Made with real meat with essential nutrients to help them grow strong and healthy. Happiness! Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks puppies.
Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang isang ina, handa akong gawin ang lahat para sa kaligtasan ng aking mga anak.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. On Thursday, President Rodrigo Duterte will attend the Summit for Democracy hosted by the United States. Mr. Duterte accepted the invitation of U.S. President Joe Biden, who also invited leaders from over 100 countries. The summit aims to help stop democratic backsliding and the erosion of rights and freedoms worldwide. But some foreign policy experts say not all participants qualify if democracy were to be the yardstick, including the Philippines. They're also concerned that Manila may be caught in the crossfire of a brewing new Cold War since the gathering excludes China and Russia. They say Washington may be embarking on a loyalty check among America's post-wartime allies.
The U.S. is weaponizing actually democracy as a means of pressuring countries, including its allies, to align themselves with the U.S. against China and against Russia. So, in fact, the Americans have embarked on a new Cold War against China.
We're in a sort of a new Cold War right now. The Chinese and American economies have started to decouple, from the time of President Trump when he initiated the trade war. And now this is being followed through by President Biden's, desire to divert supply chains away from China.
Experts say the new president or the next president should promote an independent foreign policy that's friendly to both the U.S. and China. Presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos and running mate Sara Duterte gather support in Quezon City, the country's most vote-rich city. But the tandem's caravan caused heavy traffic on some roads from morning until early afternoon. Rex Remito has more.
Hordes of supporters joined the caravan of Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte in Quezon City. They're trying to woo the voters of the country's most vote-rich city, which is important if they want to win the elections. Even before sunrise, organizers distributed posters in front of the Human Rights Commission building. Motorcycle riders and car owners then lined up on the eastbound lane of Commonwealth Avenue. Joining them are supporters wearing red and green, the official colors of the tandem. Marcos and Duterte then met their supporters in front of the Commission on Audit building. After Marcos's short speech, they began their caravan, which lasted for more than 4 hours. The long lines of vehicles caused heavy traffic this morning rush hour, especially on Commonwealth Avenue. Gridlocks were also seen in some parts of the elliptical road and the southbound lane of Quezon Avenue. This forced the city government to advise motorists to take alternate routes by noontime. The gathering of supporters also lacked physical distancing despite the threat of COVID-19. City government officials said it saddened them that the organizers refused to cooperate with them. This despite their meeting last Monday when the city government said it will deploy 1,000 law enforcers. That's why the traffic congestion happened, which the Marcos camp eventually apologized for. Marcos's chief of staff, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, says they're sorry for the inconvenience it caused to motorists. He explains organizers did not expect they will be overwhelmed by supporters despite their preparations. The event was just a meet and greet with supporters. No discussion of platforms, especially the specifics of their promise of more jobs, much needed by the city's urban poor. The tandem also did not grant interviews with the media to answer questions on some issues. Marcos is hoping to carry the city again after beating Vice President Leni Robredo in 2016. Sara Duterte, meanwhile, is also seeking to repeat the victory of his father, President Rodrigo Duterte, here in the same polls. Rex Remitio, CNN Philippines.
Various groups gathering at the University of the Philippines, Diliman, some even shaving their heads to oppose the tandem's election bids. An organization composed of martial law victims says the bloody human rights records of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos and President Duterte may continue if their children win in next year's polls. Presidential aspirant Calyodi de Guzman and his running mate Walden Bello were also at the event. Calyodi again saying he is open to talks with Vice President Leni Robredo about the possibility of uniting against Marcos and Duterte-Carpio's tandem.
Open akong makipag-usap para doon sa unified na laban. Pero yun nga, no? Sana pauna. Sana, ay magkaroon din ng klarong mga tindig doon sa issue ng mga mamayan.
With BP Lenny and us, we are on the same side. But we are not yet on the same page. Okay? And in the process of this next few months, from our side, we will try to get to the same page.
But Cagliodi clarifies this does not mean he is backing out of the race. He had previously said he would have dropped his bid for Robredo if only they were able to align their platforms during those unity talks. Robredo and her running mate, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, commemorated the Feast of the Immaculate Conception today by leading the blessing of their volunteers' headquarters in the province of Tarlac. Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson said China's intrusion in Philippine waters is more than just a national security threat. At today's Senate subcommittee hearing on strengthening the Philippine Coast Guard, Lacson explained it is also an issue of food and economic security. And Manila Mayor Isko Moreno met with officials in the province of La Union today. He also visited Baguio City the day before. Campaign season has not yet officially begun, but some candidates have already been shelling out hundreds of millions of pesos on ads even before the filing of certificates of candidacy. Stanley Gajeta tells us who the top spenders were.
36-year-old security guard Jevy Juanites always sees political ads on TV and social media. He believes the election has already started, even if the campaign period has yet to officially begin.
Dahil po sa mga commercial ads and sa social media, ramdam na ramdam ko na po yung election.
In Nielsen's recent monitoring of potential candidates' ad spending beginning January 2021, a number of potential candidates were listed as top campaign ad spenders even before the filing of certificates of candidacy in October. Former House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano was the top ad spender during the 9-month period, shelling out almost 610 million pesos. He was followed by Senator Win Gatchalian, former Public Works Secretary Mark Villar, former Vice President Jejomar Binay, Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, and Senator Joel Villanueva. The research only covers broadcast and print ads and not social media. Law professor Edward Chico says, since the official campaign period has not yet started, aspirants are not yet bound by election rules. Some of them, Chico says, are taking advantage of it to make their presence felt on various platforms.
Unless, of course, the law is amended, unless the law is revised. So we're stuck with that, so we cannot do anything. Nakakalungkot.
The election law on campaign finances aims to regulate candidate spending during the campaign period. As future public servants, they are expected to be transparent and accountable on any resources they will utilize.
Political analyst Dennis Blanco says the absence of a regulatory mechanism that would detect possible excessive spending makes the election money politics.
You would always find the word donation by friends, no? Without really inquiring as to the specific. This contribution may also reflect the conflict of interest of those people who are voluntarily donating. And you have no mechanism of telling whether this contribution are emanating from.
Experts believe there's a need to revisit the rules.
The COMELEC needs to be more transparent and more accountable and more open in declaring the statement of contribution expenditures of this candidate so as to erase any doubt or suspicion.
In 2019, Senator Laila De Lima filed the Political Party System Reform Act, which aims to regulate campaign financing and spending by setting a cap or limit on how much a natural person can contribute. However, it still doesn't cover expenses prior to elections. At least 5 similar proposals are also pending at the House of Representatives. Stanley Guedes, CNN Philippines.
Still on Newsnight, is it safe to finally hold in-person Christmas parties as COVID-19 cases in the country drop? And BTS no longer #1 on the Billboard's Hot Trending Songs chart. Who unseated the group? Find out after the break.
pandemic,
Remember that famous song?
What does the fox say?
Well, now we know what Dixie the fox says. And Dixie isn't the only giggler.
Who is a Finnegan fox? Oh, I'm so happy to see you too.
Posted one commenter, they are basically giant squeaky toys. OMG, Dixie's laugh is so adorbs. So adorbs that the folks who rescue foxes at Save a Fox in Minnesota use the giggling to publicize their cause.
Hi, Finnegan. Hi, Dixie.
The foxes tend to giggle mostly when the founder of Save a Fox, Michaela Rains, tickles them.
She just has this bond with them and they love her so much.
Love her enough,
Dixie,
to perch on her head. Every morning she delivers raw eggs.
Good boy.
To these foxes.
Sophie?
Rescued from fur farms or no longer wanted as pets.
Jack is burying his egg for later. It's for Dixie too.
Michaela only has to egg them on to get a giggle. The nonprofit even raises funds by selling stuffed toys that erupt in the actual recorded giggles of Finnegan and...
This is Dixie.
They've sold over 1,000 and tend to run out of stock. The next time you hear...
What does the fox say?
How can she say anything when she's in stitches? Jeannie Most, CNN, New York.
Welcome back. Unlike last year, the government is now easing restrictions for in-person or face-to-face Christmas parties, but some experts appeal it would be wise to set them aside for the meantime. David Santos reports.
Rosedale San Antonio, a call center employee, backs her company's decision to still forgo holding a Christmas party this year.
Kayo personally, what do you feel about it?
Yeah, I do miss having fun with my friends, but we all want to protect ourselves and our families.
This despite government easing restrictions on in-person parties, which was banned last year due to the pandemic.
Kailangan lang pong sumunod doon sa IATF regulations, depende po sa alert level ng inyong lugar.
Over a dozen people recently contracted the Omicron variant of the coronavirus after attending a corporate gathering in Oslo, Norway. Local experts appeal to cancel again this year plans to hold face-to-face parties.
Best pa rin to hold virtual parties, no?
Until such time, most likely, baka talagang after December na siguro or January, let's see, no? Kung talagang mas mababa na yung kaso natin, then we will adjust the restrictions.
But COVID-19 cases continue to go down. More people are getting vaccinated and booster shots are now available. Some favor in-person parties to help struggling businesses like those on food and service sectors. Holding parties, some say, boosts workplace morale and serves as a relief after very difficult months. There are some tips, however, on how to hold safer company get-together. Instead, company-wide, why not hold parties by department? This way you can limit the number of people attending. Hold it outdoors, such as in parks, gardens, or any open-air space. You may also hold a hybrid party, meaning workers at risk may opt to join online, while those on site should be vaccinated and without any respiratory symptom. You may even require COVID-19 testing prior to the event. Singing, shouting, and serving alcohol are also discouraged.
Do not serve buffet dishes, no? So we can have plated dishes na lang po so that there won't be congregation.
Safety protocols like mask wearing, physical distancing, and hand sanitation should be strictly observed in the venue.
Kasi kung hindi ito susunod ang mga establishments na magiging host nitong mga Christmas parties na ito, ay pwede pong i-revoke ang safety seal nila o kaya naman isuspende ang kanilang business permit.
Keep in mind that there are more holiday gatherings, including those with their families and loved ones. So it is important to always stay safe. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
In entertainment, we're just 5 days away from the Miss Universe coronation night, and Beatriz Luigi Gomez is already catching netizens' attention with her up-close feature. It's gotten over 220,000 views. In the video, Beatriz says she is grateful to represent the country as a member of the LGBTQ+ community so she can inspire the youth to, quote, be whoever they want to be. The pageant is set for Monday, 8 a.m. Philippine time. SB19 takes the throne on Billboard's Hot Trending Songs chart, a big leap from 8th place. The Pinoy group's track, Bazinga, is now at number 1, replacing the last chart topper of 6 weeks, Permission to Dance by K-pop sensation BTS. The Billboard list is based on music-related trends across Twitter. Bazinga spent 5 weeks on the global chart. This just in, an announcement from the IATF. France is now on the red list from December 10 to 15. That is Friday, beginning Friday, until next Wednesday. Now, what does this mean when a country is on the red list? That means passengers who have been to that country, France in this case, within 14 days immediately preceding arrival in the country shall be required to undergo facility-based quarantine for 14 days with an RT-PCR test on the 7th day, with day 1 being the date of arrival. Notwithstanding a negative RT-PCR result, completion of the 14-day quarantine is required. That's breaking news. France now on the red list, an announcement from the IATF. And it is 17 days before Christmas. That is it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. DX General Santos. DX General Santos. Una sa balita. Una sa balita. Musika o kalingawan. Mas tulong pinalakas. Radyo.
Mga
balita sa Kapitolyo sa Sarangani.
79 kamakaning rebelde sa Sarangani Province nakadawat og hapit 1.6 million ka pesos cash isip livelihood settlement grant gikan sa DSWD. Tag 20 mil ka pesos matag usa. Gitagaan pa ni Governor Solon og tag usa ka libo ka pesos isip pahalipay ang nabakunahan batok COVID-19. Tumang kalipay sa 79 kabuk mga kaning rebelde sa probinsya sa Sarangani, gumikan na dawat nila ang cash nga 20 mil ka pesos matag usa gikan sa DSWD Region 12 obo sa programa nga Livelihood Settlement Grant. Magamit kini nga pondo sa ilang panginabuhian. Nikabat sa halos 1.6 milyones ka pesos ang kinatibuk ang pondo nga gitunol sa DSWD. Wala pa'y apil dinhi ang ayuda gikan sa DILG, LGU, TESDA, DPWH o uban pang ahensya sa gobyerno o pribadong sektor. Natigayon ang simpleng seremonyas baguhay lang sulod sa Sarangani Capital Gymnasium kung din sila Governor Steve Chongbian Solon o DSWD 12 Sustainable Livelihood Program Coordinator Edgar Guerra ang personal ng apod-apod sa salapi. Anaapod ang hugot ng suporta o presensya nila 1002nd Brigade Commander Brigadier General Potenciano Camba, 73rd IB Commander Lieutenant Colonel Antonio Quimado Jr., Major Welbin Beda sa 38 IB, Lieutenant Colonel Lorenzo Henares III sa Sarangani Provincial Police Office, Mr. Ian John Clemente sa DILG 12, Sarangani DILG Provincial Director Engineer Samuel Kamaganakan o Assistant PSWDO Officer Edith Mahilom. Nadugangan pa ang kalipahuman nga ng hatag og tag usa ka libo ka pesos si Governor Solon sa kada kaning rebelde nga nabakunahan batok COVID-19 isip pahalipay samtang 500 ka pesos ang gihatag kada usa sa kadtong mopadulong pa lang sa pagpabakuna. Butyag ni Focal Person Lizette Lopez ilalom sa opisina ni PSWDO Officer Raquel Panal nga ang mong 79 former rebels ang nahimong kwalipikado sa programa sa DSWD human na no-render gikan tuig 2016 pinasubay sa guidelines sa ELCAC Whole of Nation Approach Program ni Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Walay hunong si Governor Solon kauban sila Vice Governor Elmer Di Peralta, mga board member, maabtikong mayores, og sila Senador Manny o Congressman Roel Pacquiao sa pagpadangat og mga kaayuhan sa kabukiran sa bendisyon sa Ginoo. Giorganisa pod sa gobernador ang mga kaning rebelde aron hiniusa silang matabangan sa panginabuhian og trabaho. Gani dugay na nga adunay provincial federation sa mga municipal association sa rebel returnees ang Sarangani Province. Mapasalamaton si Governor Solon nga ato lang Nobyembre nakaukay og mga armas ang mga kasundaluhan sa tago nga lugar sa bukirang bahin sa Malapatan. 31 kabuk high-powered firearms ang nakubkuban. Gilang kuban sa M16 rifle, M14 rifle, AK-47, M203 grenade launcher o .30 caliber machine gun. Joint forces sa 1002nd Brigade Philippine Army. Kuyog si Colonel Ted Dumosmog, 73rd IB o 39th IB ang nakadiskobre sa mga tinagong armas. Ang mga armas ang gipresenta ngadto kang Major General Ernesto Torres Jr. labaw sa 10th Infantry Division pinaagi sa naitabo nga press conference o demilitarization ceremony. Usa sa nakadawat sa 20 mil ka pesos taga maasim ang mapasalamato na lamang sa iyang kahimtang. Maayo na matud pa karon ang iyang pagpuyo kauban ang iyang pamilya. Nitahan siya tuig 2019 gikan sa iyang pagsulod sa kalihukan tuig 2013. Ni surrender siya atong panahona at tubangan mismo ni Governor Solon. Dia ang usa sa mga kanhing rebelde.
Actually, yung pagbaba ko dito sa gobyerno, maging balik lobo, dito ko magbaba sa office ni Governor Steve Solon. Yun, nandito ako. Iba talaga yung narinig ko dun sa kabila ng grupo. Ang sabi nila, pag bumaba ka, binubugbog ka talaga ng mga EFP. Pero pag nandito na, wala talaga, hindi totoo. Yung sinasabi na sa amin, pag bumaba na ako dito, dito, una-una po ay malaki po ang pagpasalamat ko kay Honorable Governor Steve Chumjan Salon, yung sa yung pag-ano sa amin, lahat ng mga FR dito sa Sarangani.
Mga balita sa Kapitolyo sa Sarangani.
Gikan sa Tuna Capital of the Philippines, General Santos. Nagsilya sa gikusgan ni 5,000 watts. Kini ang sibyaan sa RPN. RPN. Radio Philippines Network. Radio Philippines Network. DXDX 693 kHz. Ang inyong Radyo Ronda sa syudad sa mga kampiyon. Live to the world, pinaagi sa FB page. Karon, mag-download na. Pinaagi sa Google Play o Apple Store, YouTube o Twitter. Alang sa mas ipakuskan ng mga balita, komentaryo, kasayuran o kalingawan. DXDX Size 93, ang mas ipakuskan ng inyong Radyo Ronda.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
This is CNN Philippines.
Nothing feels better than coming home after a long day with your pet waiting for you by the door. Not to mention the fact that snuggling next to them is a proven antidote for the day's stress. Most pet owners know the joys that come with having a furry companion in their lives, but many of us are unaware of the physical and mental benefits they bring. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We're here to build a healthier future for you. Pets can do more than keep you company. They can decrease stress, improve heart health, and even help children with their emotional and social skills. To help us with today's discussion, let's welcome our guests. With us is Dr. Sixto Carlos. He's a veterinarian and the chief pet happiness expert at Makati Dog and Cat Hospital. Also joining us is Ms. Elena Bantigue. She's an animal welfare advocate and the head of Rescuing and Partners Committee from Poshan Project. The pandemic has brought us so much stress as well as anxiety. The emotional support that pets bring is now more important than ever. They can provide real critical support in the face of all this turmoil. I'll start the discussion with Ms. Elena. With all of this going on around us, how exactly can pets do all this and give us all that support?
Number one, loyalty and love that we can't buy in this time of the pandemic. We are so stressed with just by living. We can't even go out. We can't spend time outdoors. We can't enjoy our relationships with friends and family. That's why we have our pets. That's why our companions are here. Our dogs and cats and whichever animal that we prefer are there to give us that support.
But Miss Elena, how about the long-term benefits of this, of having a pet? Does having a pet actually help reduce things like maybe depression?
When I first rescued a stray animal from our barangay, I was at that lowest point when, as a mother, I have two daughters. I run the household by myself. I pretty much do everything. And at that point, when I was pregnant at that time and another stray comes into our lives, I thought I couldn't do anything more. I thought I couldn't give anything more. But taking her in made me realize that, I have so much more love to give. And that's just one aspect.
Now, a healthy lifestyle also plays an important role in reducing the symptoms of depression, anxiety, as well as stress, which is so abundant in this time nowadays. And caring for a pet can help you make those lifestyle changes. Miss Elena, let's talk about how this can benefit someone, having a pet, having that routine, being a responsible pet owner. How can these all change the current situation that someone is in?
I actually just got in contact with a friend during this pandemic. We haven't seen each other in a while, and she just messaged me a couple weeks back, and she said, "Elena, thank you for showing me that there's so much more a dog can give because she has been suffering from depression the past couple of years. And the only thing that really made her really strive to, fight for living, fight for her happiness is by getting herself a dog.
Now we'll go to Dr. Sixto on this one. What are some of the benefits of taking your dog or your pet, for that matter, on walks?
Dogs need exercise so they don't get bored and they don't become destructive. It also teaches them how to become more socialized with other people, because one problem with a lot of owners is they just keep their pets at home. It would be good if they take them out. So again, they're exposed to other people, other dogs, and to other environments.
Okay, so Dr. Sixto, with that in mind, a lot of people, for that matter, sometimes see pets as a tool, maybe a dog as a guard dog, iniiwan sa labas, iniiwan sa cage.
Yes.
Is this detrimental to the health of the pet?
Compared to 20 years ago when I started practicing, a lot of people did not know how to take care of their pets properly. Dati, nasa bahay lang, bantay eh. Kaya dati, ang common name ng aso was bantay. Ngayon, they're more part of the family, like a person. So, iba na yung attitude natin sa pets ngayon.
How true is the pets being our companion, but yet not naman compromising the health of a person? Whenever it comes to the overall health of a person, are there any risks that pets bring to the health of the human?
There's a term we use in veterinary medicine. It's called zoonotic diseases. A lot of dogs or pets in general can transmit to us certain diseases. The number one, the worst disease that I can think of is rabies, which is quite common in our country, which is easily preventable with vaccination.
Okay.
And we also have other diseases like, let's say, tapeworm, which is transmitted through swallowing of fleas.
Can pets acquire COVID-19 or nahahawa ba ang mga pets with COVID-19?
Yes, it has been shown they can be. But I think data is lacking if they can be transmitted regularly to humans.
Ms. Elena, do you agree with this? Is having structure part and parcel with being a responsible pet owner?
If your pet is part of your family, when you take care of your family, it's part of your routine. So there's gotta be some structure to that.
What's the overall science behind having pets and being healthy with them?
To tell you the truth, I am diagnosed with a lot of allergies, but I'm a vet. My daughter also has skin asthma. She has a lot of allergies too, but we've been exposed to pets all our lives. Madalas naman, hindi naman ganun kasama eh. One thing then, I attended this immunology seminar. They say that if you're exposed, you get used to the antigen which causes the allergy. So I guess most of the time, pwede naman eh, unless it's real bad. And by the way, you're not actually allergic to the hair or to the dog itself. It's more of the saliva and the dead skin. That's where you're allergic.
Do pet owners seem to be more relaxed and have a better overall health when bringing them to your clinic?
People with pets have lower blood pressure. And I think another thing that was observed is there's more oxytocin release, which is, I guess, it's a relaxing hormone. So pets would make people more relaxed.
Now, coming up, infections and diseases our fur babies can carry. We're your connection to healthcare. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Ang Boses 1 ay hatid sa inyo ni Engineer Sterling Sanyado. Engineer Sterling Sanyado. Ang kuya sa dakbayan sa General Santos.
Sterling, 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 Sterling.
DX General Santos.
This is CNN Philippines.
Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. We're together in health. Ms. Elena, let's move on to some of the cons of owning a pet, if there are any, because we talked about a lot of the pros of having one.
When I do adoption interviews, when I get adoption applicants, I have so many questions to ask the applicant because I need to know if they are committed and devoted into giving the best life to the rescue. If you are not able to give the necessary vaccines, because it's not just anti-rabies that's actually needed for our pets. There's also the 5-in-1 or the 8-in-1 that comprises a vaccine for a multitude of viruses that can be prevented. Another one would be spaying and neutering, which also costs. Another one would be having the time to really commit, because daily walks are needed. Even proper diet is needed for our pets. So if we really want a well-rounded life, it's not just us that we need to worry about, it's also our pets.
For those who have not yet owned a pet and are thinking about it, could you give us more or less an estimate on what to expect, on how much commitment, how much budget ang kailangan kapag meron tayong pet?
Kailangan ng maraming vaccinations, no? Okay, for a puppy, sa start lang, no? More or less, complete vaccination niya up to, let's say, 6 months. That's already almost 5,000 pesos. That's one. Then you have to give anti-flea, anti-tick, anti-heartworm medication. That would cost about 500 a month. And of course, you have dog food. It depends sa quality na gusto mo. It may go, there are cheaper dog food. Pero the problem is, once you need special diets, that's 5 to 10 times more expensive than the regular dog food.
A lot of people may think that, yung hindi naubos na pagkain sa table will be okay for their pet. Is this a good practice to do?
Actually, no, kasi hindi balanced. They need specific diet. Iba yung nutritional requirements sila. Some people, they like to mix, let's say cat, they give them dog food. For dog, they give them cat food. Magkaiba yun. Ibang nutritional needs sila. Actually, for each pet, iba-iba yan. You really can't mix.
Ms. Elena, for those who are busy but still want to own a pet, what's your advice for them? What can you recommend?
Best would be a cat, because a cat, you really don't need to walk them. And you can leave them at home. They feel safer at home. You don't need to bring them out on trips. So I think that's the best option for someone who has a busy lifestyle and, who do not have all the time to commit to a pet.
Some dogs can be destructive even if they don't mean to. They can have an occasional accident at home or chew on your favorite shoes or even clothes. Dr. Sixto, how can we manage these destructive behaviors of some pets?
You have to make time to be with them. You have to exercise them, because a lot of the destructive behaviors is caused by boredom. So let's say bored sila. They tend to chew on things, destroy things. And one thing is, do not give them old shoes, old slippers, or socks to chew on. Kasi maya-maya, kakagatin na rin nila yung bago eh. Personally, for me, if you do not have the time, don't get a pet. That is my suggestion.
How can we cope with the grief of a pet loss?
I lost a rescue almost 3 years ago now, and it still pains me. But at the shelter, it's a different story. When we lose a rescue, it's not always easy, but we have each other, me and my other co-volunteers. We have each other to, lean on. We talk about it. We share our good memories with the rescue, and that's pretty much what drives us to do more, to be able to, have the drive and compassion to rescue more of the same strays.
Dr. Sixto, you touched upon this earlier, but what are some of the other common infections that humans can get from pets?
Ringworm, that's one. You can get that from pets. There's another one, it's Bartonella. It's a bacteria.
How about ticks and fleas that are common in dogs? Are these a health risk on humans?
Yes, because they may cause a lot of allergies. They also transmit a lot of diseases, like Babesia, a lot of rickettsial diseases, which can also be transmitted to people.
Okay.
And to be bitten by a flea, that's not fun. It's very, very itchy. Makati talaga. And again, I think I mentioned earlier, if you swallow a flea accidentally, you can also get tapeworm. And another thing is you can also get roundworms from dogs and cats. That's why in our practice, every few months we do take dewormers to make sure we don't have any roundworms.
When we return, we'll talk about how to pick the fur pet for you. Your health is our mission. This is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.
Ang trusted dog food ni Catherine Bernardo, Nutri-Chunks na!
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat and essential nutrients that help keep them healthy and happy. Listo ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Mga butang nga angay himuon aron malikayan ang COVID-19. Proper hygiene. Batasana ang makanunayong paghunaw o kamot gamit ang tubig ug sabon sulod sa 20 segundos. Likayi ang paggunit sa nawong, mata, ilong ug baba. Tabuni ang baba ginamit ang mask, panyo o kamot kung ikaw muubo o muhatsing. Ayaw panluwa bisan asa. Batasana ang regular nga pagkaligo. Ipabilin ang kahinlo o kahapsay sa panimalay. Katulog sa saktong oras. Alang sa mga concerns, tambag, sugyot o suhestyon, tawag sa Gensan COVID-19 Hotline 0951-088-8801 hangtod 8807. Sa giyera kontra COVID-19, ang atong armas mao ang panaghiusa. Matag general adunay kaakuhan, matag general adunay kalambigitan. Pahinumdum, gikan sa lokal nga panggamhanan sa dakbayan sa General Santos.
DX General Santos.
This is CNN Philippines.
I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines, where your care always comes first. Before deciding to own and care for a pet, make sure it's the right one for you and your family. It's important to do some research beforehand about the specific needs of that animal you choose. Ms. Elena, what questions should we ask ourselves before getting a new pet?
What lifestyle do I have? Am I willing to provide a set amount of money for vettings? What commitment do I have with my time? Am I willing to give daily walks or just weekly? Am I able to get my pet socialized with other dogs? Do I have enough space in my home? Do I have a backyard? Or am I living in a condo? Things like that.
Okay, now let's talk about adopting. By adopting a pet from a shelter, you'll not only give a new home to a deserving pet, but you'll also most likely end up saving their lives. Some people may be apprehensive about doing this since most dogs from shelters aren't puppies anymore. Ms. Elena, what are some of the pros and cons of adopting versus shopping for pets?
I can go on. But one thing is for sure, yes, you are saving a life. You are saving a rescue. And when you adopt a rescue, they will give you their life. They will give you their never-ending loyalty, love, and dedication. Con would be the commitment that needs to be put in with getting a pet is pretty significant as well.
Dr. Sixto, what are some of the things that our viewers should do to keep their pets healthy?
You have to bring your pet to a veterinarian so he can give preventives, recommend what diet to eat, what diet to take. You should also research on how to take care of your pet. For example, I have a colleague, he's a veterinarian. and he loves snakes and lizards. While I do not recommend an average person to take care of reptiles, you can if you have the knowledge. That also goes for other exotics and wild animals.
But one thing though, there are some studies that say that neutering is beneficial for pets since it helps them live longer as well as prevent some diseases. Dr. Sixto, what's spaying, what's neutering, and is this really beneficial for the pet?
For me, yes. If you get a pet dog or cat, in our practice, we recommend automatically to have your pet neutered. Neutered is spaying, is we remove the reproductive organs of the female, and for castration, we remove the reproductive organs of the male. This keeps them from reproducing. One benefit is it keeps the population of dogs and cats down. Statistically, neutered pets live longer, and it keeps them from getting diseases like testicular tumors, pyometra, and mammary tumor. So it is also healthy for the pet itself.
Okay. Dr. Sixto, how often should responsible pet owners bring their pets to a veterinarian for a checkup?
It's once a year, but I think it would be better if you bring your pet to the vet every 6 months.
And before we go, Ms. Elena, do you have any tips or advice for our viewers who are already pet owners and for those who may be thinking about owning a pet?
For those current pet owners, please have them vaccinated, have them spayed and neutered, and for new ones, there are lots of options at the shelter. Please come visit Caution Project.
Very good. And Dr. Sixto, if there were 3 things that our viewers should take from this episode of being responsible pet owners, what should it be?
Having a pet is a luxury. You should have the resources to have a pet. You should have the heart to have a pet. And third is rather adopt dogs or cats than to buy one.
We hope you found our discussion today helpful. Thank you to veterinarian Dr. Sixto Carlos and animal welfare advocate Ms. Elena Bantigue. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this has been MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.